Straight on to the day's with business news, and Stephen Carroll is joining us here on set. Stephen, you're starting with a big change, aren't you, at the top of Starbucks here?
That's right. He's hanging up his green apron, the man who turned Starbucks into the global coffee powerhouse. Howard Schultz is going to step down as executive chairman of the company at the end of the month. He spent 36 years building it up from a local Seattle coffee chain to a global powerhouse that has 28,000 stores in 77 countries. His announcement has sparked speculation about what the billionaire might do next. Alison Sargent has the story.
Just hours before announcing he will be stepping down as executive chairman, Howard Schultz paid a visit to the place it all began, a small Starbucks cafe in Seattle's Pike Place Market.
I've been doing this for almost 40 years. Taking my green apron off is hard. It's emotional, more emotional than I thought it'd be.
Since joining the company in 1982, Howard Schultz grew Starbucks from an 11-store chain into a worldwide phenomenon with over 28,000 stores in 77 countries. Its share price has risen 21,000% since going public in 1992. For Schultz, the company's values were as important as its profits. He was one of the first CEOs to offer complete health benefits to full and part-time employees. He also weighed in on social issues, from gay rights to student debt to gun control.
We are respectfully asking our customers who are carrying a gun not to bring them inside Starbucks stores.
Schultz also had to deal with controversy. Starbucks stores recently closed for racial bias training after 2 black men were arrested at a Philadelphia cafe. Fueling speculation he's considering a presidential bid, the 64-year-old acknowledged to the New York Times that it is on his mind.
For some time now, I've been deeply concerned about our country. One of the things I want to do in my next chapter is to figure out if there's a role I can play in giving back. I'm not exactly sure what that means yet.
For now, Schultz plans to write a book. He'll retain an honorary Starbucks title as chairman emeritus.
Washington state has begun legal action against Google and Facebook for failing to keep track of who was placing political ads. State laws require all ad sellers, including the internet giants, to log and report who's behind advertisements and how much they're spending. Washington's Attorney General Bob Ferguson says Facebook and Google have failed to meet these obligations since 2013. Both companies say they're committed to transparency and will work to resolve the complaint. Apple says its latest operating system will stop apps secretly tracking people's online activities. The iPhone maker says that iOS 12 will block the use of cookies from Facebook likes, which can follow users from one website to another. Apple's Senior Vice President of Software Engineering telling its developers conference that the changes will make dramatically more difficult for companies to identify the device being used and to track its users. Well, let's take a look at what's happening on the markets for you next. European shares starting the day in the red. The market's lacking a bit of inspiration at the start of trading. London's FTSE 100 down 1/3 of 1%. Telecoms companies actually the ones seeing the biggest relative falls across Europe, but nothing major to report. In Asia today, trading was pretty calm as well. Investors remaining largely upbeat there despite the ongoing threats of a trade war. Analysts saying that they're really focusing much more on the upbeat economic data coming out of the US. The Kospi and Seoul, they're finishing up 1/4% in gains in the Chinese and Japanese markets as well. Well, one company that wasn't having a good day on the markets was the Japanese electronics maker Sharp. Its shares closed down by 4% in Tokyo after it announced plans to issue new shares and expand into artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things. Sharp was taken over by Taiwan's Foxconn in 2016. Next, the British government has sold part of its stake in the nationalised Royal Bank of Scotland at a loss of more than £2 billion. The 7.7% stake raised the equivalent of just under €3 billion in the share sale, but the price per share was significantly lower than what the government had paid when it bailed out the bank in 2008. Shares in RBS down around 3.5% in the open in London. Well, finally for me, as Singapore gears up for the meeting of Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un next week, businesses are looking for ways to cash in on the event. That includes the city's bars, which have created special cocktails to mark the meeting. They include the Bromance, which is made with beer, tequila, Diet Coke and the Korean rice liqueur soju. It's only going to be served in pairs, and customers who order it will get a special World Peace sticker from the bar. I like the idea. Not so sure about the recipe, Stuart.
Beer and soju, and what was the other main
Tequila
thing?
and Diet Coke.
I'm just gobsmacked.
You're lost
I can't
for
think what
words.
to say. Yeah, exactly.
I have no idea what it's going to taste like.
Thanks, Stephen. A nice cocktail there from the business desk. Now.